The Battle of Chalons, also known as the Battle of the Catalaunian Plains, took place in the summer of 451 and resulted in the defeat of the Huns, potentially saving Western civilization. The Huns were a nomadic people originating from Asia who migrated westward over several centuries, conquering and defeating various peoples along the way. In the early 5th century, they established control over territories north of the Danube River and launched raids as far as Constantinople. After the death of Rua, the recognized ruler of the Huns, in 433, his nephews Bleda and Attila succeeded him. Attila led a devastating raid into southeastern Europe in 441, prompting Emperor Theodosius II of the Eastern Roman Empire to increase the annual tribute paid to the Huns. In 445, Attila murdered his brother and became the sole leader of the Huns. He then invaded Gaul and the Italian peninsula, taking advantage of the disunity within Western Europe. The Western Roman Empire, under Valentinian III, was facing pressure from both Gaiseric, the king of the Vandals in North Africa, and Theodoric, the ruler of the Visigoths who controlled southern Gaul. Gaiseric had broken his marriage alliance with Theodoric's daughter, further adding to the tensions. Attila saw an opportunity to exploit these divisions and claimed that he was owed half of the Western Roman Empire as a dowry due to an appeal he received from Valentinian's sister, Honoria, who sought assistance against her brother. In the spring of 451, Attila, known as the Scourge of God, led a massive force of at least 100,000 Huns and allied tribes, including the Ostrogoths, Syrians, Herulls, and Gepids, into Gaul. They crossed the Rhine River near Strasbourg and began devastating the countryside, attacking and destroying cities along their path. They turned south before reaching Paris, which, according to popular belief, was saved by the prayers of a young girl named Saint Genevieve. In May, Attila laid siege to Orléans, and its ruler, Sangiban, king of the Alans, initially agreed to surrender the city. However, upon learning of this, Aetius, the commander of the Western Roman Empire's army, marched his forces northward. Aetius had around 50,000 German mercenaries and formed a loose alliance with the Franks in the Rhineland and the Visigoths in Aquitania. Although these groups had conflicts with the Romans, they considered the Huns a greater threat and joined Aetius in a coalition against Attila. Sangiban ultimately went back on his promise to Attila and joined the coalition. The Huns were on the brink of capturing Orléans when the coalition forces arrived. Attila, realizing that his forces were scattered, decided to withdraw northward and ordered his army to regroup. As he crossed the Seine River, Attila left a Gepid force to cover his retreat. However, Aetius launched a surprise night attack, destroying Attila's rear guard and inflicting an estimated 15,000 casualties. The main battle took place the following day, although the exact date remains disputed. It is believed to have occurred on the Mauriac Plain, approximately 20 miles northwest of Troyes and 35 miles south of Chalons-sur-Marne. Attila's army faced north, with the Gepids led by Ardaric on the right wing, Attila and the Huns in the center, and Valamir leading the Ostrogoths on the left wing. Aetius positioned his Roman forces on the left wing, while Sangiban and the Alans were placed in the center of the coalition line. The Visigoths, led by King Theodoric, formed the right wing of the coalition. The position of the Franks is uncertain, as they may have suffered heavy casualties the previous day or been held in reserve. The battle began late in the day, with both sides vying for control of a crucial ridge line. The Visigoths, led by Prince Therismond, reached the ridge first and successfully repelled the advancing Huns. Fierce combat ensued, with the Alans putting up a strong resistance before eventually withdrawing. Aetius and his German forces struggled on their end of the battle line, but the Visigoths managed to hold their ground against the Ostrogoths, although King Theodoric tragically fell from his horse and was trampled to death by his own men. The Visigoths then turned and attacked the left flank of the Huns, with Attila narrowly escaping capture or death. Meanwhile, Aetius and his troops broke through the Gepid line. Attila ordered a fighting retreat back to their fortified camp, which was surrounded by wagons. As darkness fell, the Visigoths attempted to storm the camp but were repulsed. The high casualties suffered by both sides led to a pause in the fighting, and neither side sought to resume the battle the next day. Contemporary estimates of the dead range from 165,000 to 300,000, although the smaller figure is likely an exaggeration. Initially, Aetius and Therismond considered besieging the Hunnic camp, but Aetius had a change of heart. He feared that if the Huns were completely destroyed, the Visigoths would have unchecked power in Gaul. Therefore, he advised Therismond, who became king following Theodoric's death, to return home and consolidate his rule. The Franks also withdrew from the conflict. With the Huns significantly weakened and no longer posing a serious threat to the west, they withdrew back across the Rhine River. The coalition's victory at Chalons likely prevented Attila and the Huns from dominating Western Europe. However, Attila was not finished. In 452, he renewed his intention to marry Honoria and invaded the Italian peninsula. Aetius was unable to gather sufficient forces to challenge him, and Valentinian III, the Western Roman Emperor, sent Pope Leo I to negotiate with Attila. They met at the Mincio River, and Attila agreed to leave Italy, possibly because he learned that Marcian, the new emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire, had sent an army to attack the Hun capital. Attila planned to resume his efforts in the west, but he died in 453, leading to internal conflicts among his sons. As a result, subject peoples broke free, and the Hunnic Empire eventually collapsed.